What kind of encourager could I be if I didn't continue to encourage?
That's right.
Let's pray.
Oh, Lord, thank you. Thank you that you prepared her for such a time as this, Lord. Thank you. Thank you, Lord, that you are blessing us to hear this amazing testimony. Father God, I just pray that you continue to work through her, Lord. And I pray, Lord, that you do convict her when she needs it. And thank you, God. Thank you that she walks with you and that she blesses so many of us. We praise you. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I am the grateful believer of Jesus Christ. I celebrate recovery from alcohol and drug abuse, anxiety, depression, and anger. My name is Kristen.
Hi,
Hey, Kristen.
I grew up in a large. I grew up in a large family of 8 with 4 brothers and 1 sister. My earliest memories as a child were happy. I was a daddy's girl, always wanting to surround myself with my father. We enjoyed fishing, camping, and boating together. On the other hand, my family was very religious and we had strict views and expectations. We attended the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is also known as the Mormon religion. I was taught to believe in a loving God and Jesus Christ. I believed there was a God, but I knew in my heart that this religion was not for me. It didn't make any sense to me, and I wasn't sure why it was forced on me. I was told that if I didn't follow the Mormon ways, that I would go to hell. They always told me that their church was the only true church, and that all the other churches were untrue. I was extremely confused about God. I did not reach out for help for fear of being chastised by my parents. I kept everything inside, forming fear and anger. Living in a large family, I was forced to be independent. I was taught not to express my feelings with my family or others. My family never showed any affection towards each other except for the occasional I love you. My mother had her 2 favorite siblings and I wasn't one of them. She didn't spend much time with me because she was always busy cleaning or involved with the other siblings. I was hurt and I didn't know how to express it to myself or others. Since I didn't know how to express my feelings, I started to rebel when I became a teenager. I had my first sip of alcohol at the age of 13. I went straight for the hard liquor and it was nasty. My friends and I would drink their parents' vodka and replace it with water. When I started hanging out with my friends at parties, I started using drugs. It started with marijuana, then LSD, and then led to prescription narcotics, cocaine, and ecstasy. I was on top of the world. All of a sudden, I could express whatever I wanted in front of whomever, and I didn't care how it affected others or myself. I was having a blast, staying out as late as I could, doing whatever I wanted, and I didn't care about anything, including God. There was still a problem. When I wasn't hanging out getting hammered, I still felt hurt and angry, which snowballed into intense anger and extreme hurt. I started listening to punk rock music, which fueled my anger even more. This intense anger caused me to be withdrawn and very depressed. My family noticed this behavior and sent me to a counselor at the age of 15. I was diagnosed with depression and put on antidepressants. I didn't stay on these antidepressants very long because of the side effects. My first attempt at suicide occurred when I went on one of these medications. The only thing that made me feel better was partying with my friends and sleeping. I continued to push my hurt down so deep, thinking it would eventually go away. I was wrong. I really hated going to church, but I was still forced to go every morning at 5 in the morning during the week and all day long on Sunday. I started leaving church on Sundays to get high with my friends. I had pushed God out of my life. I felt that I had sinned so much that I didn't deserve to be forgiven. My life was starting down the downward spiral of insanity. My parents were always really strict on the rules in the home, but when I started to get out of control, they really tried to enforce these rules even more. This led me to rebel further, and anything they wanted me to do, I did the opposite. I didn't get much attention from my mother, so so I could get attention, even if it was negative. I drastically changed my appearance by dyeing my hair a rainbow of colors, getting multiple piercings, and dressed all in black. When I was 16, my friends introduced me to shoplifting. I felt such an adrenaline rush every time I would run out of the store without getting caught. I loved it so much I decided to venture out on my own one day at Target. This time I didn't get away with it. I was stopped by an employee while I was leaving the store, and the policeman came and arrested me. Not for stealing, but because I wouldn't say yes sir to him. While arriving to the booking station, the officer discovered marijuana in my backpack. I was put in a holding cell for about 8 hours, awaiting my mom to pick me up. When she got there, she was so angry, she said, "If this ever happens, I will never fly you out again." After I got caught, my shoplifting days were over, even though I stole things from places of employment. At this point in my life, God was completely shut out. I had so much hate and anger that I didn't have any room for the Holy Spirit to enter my heart. I felt that I was such a bad kid, that I was going to hell anyways, so who cares, right? I felt worthless and not loved by anyone, including God. I would start to isolate myself from others, and my depression worsened. All the hurt in my heart got pushed further and further down, and I would numb the pain with alcohol and drugs. I felt so alone, and I would seek in men for comfort. I spent 7 years of my life with a boy that I thought was going to rest my life with. He drove me down further in mental insanity and extreme hurt by cheating on me multiple times when we were together. I was extremely hurt and didn't trust anyone, including God. This is when I went crazy with men, and I didn't care who it was. I partied constantly to block out the pain I was suffering. When I was 27, I met my future husband at a rock concert. He was a bad boy in a band, and I felt head over heels. We started to party together and see each other a lot. It was only a few months into the relationship I got pregnant with my daughter. Wow, I wasn't ready for that. I was so stressed out about how my parents would react to the pregnancy. I didn't even give them the news until I was 3 months along. They took the news better than I thought they would, but they stressed the importance of my daughter having a father in her life. I was so confused and even thought about abortion. What was I gonna do? Not only did I have premarital sex, but I did it with a man that didn't belong to the Mormon church. I thought for sure my parents would disown me. We decided to get married the following year when my daughter was 15 months old. It was a very stressful wedding for my family. They didn't understand how people got married outside of the Mormon temple. My father decided to ask me if I really thought this was the right thing to do right when I was about to walk out and get married. That was good timing. I was crushed. Things were going okay. I was still angry and not happy to be a mother so soon. I still wanted to party all the time, and I didn't like having to be responsible for another life. I developed resentment towards my daughter, and I didn't treat her very well. I yelled at her a lot and got really angry for doing things that didn't fit into my time. She didn't get the attention she needed from me, and I would often leave her alone while I slept in another room. I developed a very selfish, careless attitude towards others. 3 years later, I was pregnant with my son. I was so excited this time because we had planned him and I really wanted a son. My husband, on the other hand, he wasn't so excited. I started to notice his behavior change. He started to drink more, stay out late at night. When my son was born, it was all about him. He got all my attention while I was still neglecting my daughter. My whole world was revolved around him, and I thought I would do it right this time. Well, I had a rude awakening when he developed a colic and cried all day and all night. My marriage with my husband started to suffer after my son was born. He would stay up all night in the garage and hang out with his friends, drinking and playing pool. I was drinking a lot as well, alone, isolating myself, falling deeper into depression, crying myself not to sleep nightly. I was getting more and more unhappy with myself, wishing I could just die. I didn't know what to do. I felt helpless, alone, and extremely angry. One evening, my daughter, who was 7 at the time, asked, "Can we go to church, and why haven't we gone to church before?" My husband and I were both shocked that she would ask that all of a sudden, and we agreed to go to church that Sunday. My daughter had been talking to a teacher at her after-school program about Jesus and was invited to go to her church. That following Sunday, we attended Life Community Church. My husband had been to that church before, but I had only been to the Mormon church, so I was really nervous. During the service, I had a spiritual experience in which I felt all my brokenness lift away from me. This was the first time in my life I felt Jesus' touch. I felt complete peace and happiness. I wasn't sure how to process this new experience. I was extremely happy about this newfound freedom, but it wasn't enough to push me to change. My second attempt at suicide happened when I was 34. I was hospitalized for psychiatric evaluation and was put on more antidepressants and benzodiazepines for anxiety. I also received counseling for my depression. I was doing a little bit better, but I was still pushing all my hurt down inside and not seeking God for help. When I didn't think things could get any worse, my husband and my 4-year-old son were in a head-on collision on the way to take care. I know that God saved their life. The police officer at the scene stated he's never seen anybody survive that type of accident. Because of God's grace, my son only received a laceration to his tongue and a few stitches to close it up. My husband fractured his ribs and tibia, but he survived. I thank God that they were both alive today. It was a true miracle. While my husband was in the hospital, I found out that he was addicted to crack cocaine. I was so angry, ashamed, and felt stupid for not noticing it. We were having marital problems, and this was the news that broke the family's back. I didn't want to have anything to do with him after that, and I wanted a divorce. In March of 2015, I decided to pack my things and leave. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment with my 2 kids and filed for divorce. During the separation, I was at my bottom. I woke up every day begging God to please not let me live another day. And the first thought that came into my head was, I hate my life. My third attempt at suicide was when I was in my apartment with my 2 kids. This was the lowest point in my life. My husband called the police. And once again, I was in psychiatric evaluation. After this event in my life, I had enough and I had to do something. I started to look for anger management classes. One afternoon, I stumbled upon a church while taking out the trash a few blocks from my apartment. There was a sign that read, "Celebrate recovery, a perfect place for imperfect people." This perked my interest. I went home and researched it on the internet. The next Tuesday, I decided to go and check it out. I was so scared. I drank wine before I went to calm my fears. I entered the room and I was welcomed by friendly faces, and I was told I came to a safe place. I wasn't sure what all this was about, but I kept coming back. I knew that in order to commit to this program, I had to quit drinking and doing drugs. On July 7th, 2015, I got sober. I asked God to help me to remove the desire to drink and surrender my life to Him. The first couple of months were very hard. I had to feel my pain and my emotions instead of numbing them with alcohol and drugs. I felt complete insanity, but I kept going to meetings every Tuesday night. It wasn't until I started a step study that the real healing began. I learned what caused me to be so angry and why I had to drink and use drugs to deal with the pain. I learned tools to help me to forgive others and be set free from my past. When I got finished with my 4th step, I burned all the papers I had written on. I let go of all the baggage that had been keeping me in bondage for so many years, and I gave it all to God. I learned that I had to daily turn my will over to Him and to trust Him with my new life. I knew I had to have a relationship with Him. I started to pray and read the Word daily, which changed my life dramatically. In October 2015, I was baptized at Life Community Church with my daughter. It was then that I renewed my faith as a Christian, even though I had been baptized as a Mormon. It was a special bonding experience with my daughter because we got to be baptized on the same day. I'm very proud of my daughter and her faith in Christ. I know God used her to get us to attend church, and for that I'm truly grateful. Shortly after the baptism, I got back together with my husband, and we started couples counseling. Our relationship strengthened when I let God change him instead of me. Now I only want to kill him every once in a while instead of every day. I've learned that I can't change anyone. I can't even change myself without letting God take control. I spent so many years trying to do God's work instead of letting God work in me. I'm extremely happy with what God has done for my marriage. I look forward to what He has in store for my family. I have a sense of peace now instead of anger, and I wake up thanking God for another day instead of asking Him to take it away. God led me to church that night to celebrate recovery, and He saved my life. I know that He loves me, and He wants the best for my life. I now strive to get closer to Him and I seek Him in all my affairs. My life is far from perfect, and I still struggle, but I know that I don't have to walk on this life alone, and that I have the tools to not go back to the person I used to be. If you're new in this program, whatever you do, don't give up. Healing doesn't happen overnight. Remember, it took all your life to become who you are today. It takes time to overcome. It's important to always be present in the moment, living one day at a time, not dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Always seek God and give up your life to Him. Trust in Him and He will take care of you. He knows what we need and He will love us unconditionally. I am truly grateful for my recovery. I've learned to enjoy life instead of being miserable. I look forward to every day and wake up happy. I never thought I would be the person I've become. I now believe that with God, all things are possible. My favorite Bible verse is, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him and He will make your path straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. We cannot do this alone. We have to seek in God first in everything we do. And we can receive the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Galatians 5:22-23. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks the door will be open.